Welcome back to my Doctor Who reviews, and in this episode we're asking a really important question. Does Kerblam deliver? Hello, my name is Rob Edwards and welcome back to my Doctor Who reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about the episode Kerblam. I'll talk about the things which really worked for me, the stuff that didn't quite land, and we're going to start with my overall impression of the episode. And it's a bit of an interesting one. This series, I have fairly consistently sung the praises of the visuals of the series. Some of the episodes have been a bit up and down, some of them have been a bit hit and miss, but all of them so far have looked amazing. And this is the first episode where I'm not sure I can necessarily say that. I'm not saying it didn't look good, but it really felt to me a bit like, do you know, the closest I can think of is it feels like The Long Game. The episode from season 1 with Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor, where Simon Pegg is an evil overlord working for a roof monster. It's a whole thing. But there again we get some nice world building, a bit of kind of corporate shenanigans, some interesting side characters, but the overall threat is ended in a really strange way. And that, I think, works for both The Long Game and Kerblam. I don't know that I dislike this episode. Again, it's a bit like the Tsaranga. I promise I'd never say that again, but I'm saying it again. The Tsaranga conundrum, in that at the time of watching the episode, I quite enjoyed it. But another one where thinking about it, actually thinking about there are some things which you've come to me for a coherent review of Doctor Who, and I am totally bringing that for you. Excellent. Okay, let me kind of clarify a little bit. I've watched this episode twice now, and the first time I watched it, I really liked it, but I had some slight niggles about the way that the system behaves and the way that the villain behaves. I didn't feel that they were terribly consistent. Now, on the second watch, one of those quibbles I had was totally fixed. In fact, I think there was a stroke of genius which is completely glossed over in this plot. There's something which he does which is very clever. When I first watched this episode, I wondered how on earth the system would end up putting the Doctor in maintenance, because if you remember, the Doctor switches jobs with Graham. So Graham ends up in maintenance and she ends up in packing. And I thought at the time, okay, nice thing, Doctor switched that around so that she can investigate packing, and that's brilliant. But I was sat there going, why though was the Doctor originally put into maintenance? Because she's clearly the brightest person there, she's probably the strongest physically, more so than the humans. Why on earth have they put her mopping floors? And it was only on the second watch, knowing that the system was the one who sent the cry for help, that I realised that what had happened is when the system analysed the Doctor, it didn't match her for her skills, it matched her for where she needed to be. The system put her, originally, with Charlie, in maintenance, so that she would be right on top of the problem. But not knowing the system was responsible for the cry for help, the Doctor didn't realise and actually made life more difficult for herself by switching places with Graham. That's very clever. I like that. But against that, we have the system blowing up Kira Arlo. Why does the system do that? The system has a solution to its problem. It has the Doctor on hand. The Doctor is working towards it. Blowing up Kira does nothing to get the Doctor on side. If the system knows enough about the Doctor to realise that sending to her, him, Fez, for help is a really good idea, then surely it knows enough that harming innocent bystanders is not going to put the Doctor on your side. In fact, I think it's kind of strange that the Doctor doesn't have much more of a reaction to Kira's death than to say to Charlie, look, hey, the system did this to get to you. I'm not sure there's a good guy here. I think the system, in fact, is just as bad as Charlie. And there are a couple of really weird inconsistencies. Like, why does the dispatch, an area which has no organics allowed, have a room with a chair and a table and a one-way mirror and a hidden door in it? There is no reason for that to be there. Why is it that the system can take all of these actions against Charlie, but is still needing to call for help? If it can send a robot after Charlie, as it does in this episode, and that robot is clearly enough to overpower Charlie, why choose to do it when Charlie is surrounded by other people? If they'd done it when he was alone, as he often is, the system would have solved its own problem and wouldn't have needed the Doctor for help. Why is it that most of the missing people who are sent into a liquefying chamber, why does it have a liquefying chamber? So that we can find the goop with their group loops in it. But it kills Dan in the warehouse, and okay, Yaz gets the group loop and the necklace before the robots can tidy it up, but Dan wasn't put into a liquefying chamber. Lots of weird little inconsistencies. I seem to have blended into my things I didn't like there when I started to give my overall impression. Okay, so things I liked then. I liked the clever twist about the Doctor being in the right place before she switched. I liked the guest cast for the most part. I thought the characters of Kira and Dan were delightful, lovable characters who were destined for death. I thought Charlie was a really nice character until the villain turn, which I didn't think really worked for him. The misdirect of Mr. Slade, I mean, it's fine. I thought the Judy character was a bit overplayed, a bit over the top. I've seen that actress in Broadchurch, and she plays a really powerful role in that. But I think she came to Doctor Who with this is a kid's show mentality, and I think she overplays it. Sorry, I'm being positive. The design of the robots was really cool. Some really nice, sinister kind of close-up shots, and the sort of tilting of the head and the glowing of the eyes. That was rather nicely done as well. And the scene on the conveyor belt, where it doesn't make a great deal of sense, was quite fun. Was quite a nice bit of light drama, a bit of action scene in the middle. Was quite entertaining, if not very sensible. Companions all did their part, enjoyed them all. Again, Bradley Walsh rules as Graham, but Yaz and Ryan both quite fun as well. The Doctor, the more I see of Jodie as the Doctor, the less convinced I am. I was so sold on her in the first episode. I didn't like the line when this is episode 7 and she's complaining that she can't get the hang of the new controls in the TARDIS. That is not the Doctor. Okay, that may not be Jodie's fault. That's the script which has put that in there. But that's not the Doctor. The Doctor enjoys the TARDIS being out of control. Always has. Would never blame the controls. I mean, that's just not the Doctor. And her ongoing big arms, oh yes, big arms with her sonic screwdriver, and always looking at the damn thing. I'm not sold on it. I'm sorry, Jodie. You had me. You really did. But the more I see of you, the less you got me. And that's the wrong way round. And this is really turning into a negative review. I didn't really intend it to be. This is an okay episode. It's not brilliant. It's not awful. There's a few kind of weird beats and oddities which I've enumerated in there. But I'm going to finish on another negative. I'm sorry, I really am. That final scene with the double punchline, neither of which worked, neither of which landed, with "Are you sure you want to pop that?" and "Hey, put that bubble wrap down." Both of those gags don't work. Neither of them make a good button for this episode. And Yaz's "I need to take this necklace to Dan's kid" moment. All of that staged really wrong. The emotional weight they're trying to put on it was unearned. Let's put it that way. A perfectly sensible thing for everyone to do, and I think I completely get it. But I don't think it was an earned moment. And I think the episode would have had a stronger finish if we hadn't had the final scene in the TARDIS. Thanks for watching. I will be doing a follow-up Friday this week. I'm sorry I missed last week. Work stuff got in the way. And I think this week's follow-up Friday is going to be my top 5 killer robots. I know they weren't sort of killer robots in this episode, but that's the theme which appeals to me. So I'm going to do a follow-up Friday for my top 5 killer robots in Doctor Who. If you want to see more from me about Doctor Who, check out the box over there. If you want to find out more about my writing, check out the box over there. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you next time. Cheers.